I don't know how much we need to see Garnacho and Rasmus together to know that it doesn't work. As much as people will praise the manager for playing the two young players today, and they gave a good account of themselves, you have to hold him accountable for persevering with these two scrubs. Like, for every one thing Garnacho does well, he does 5 or 6 things bad. Like, he's a net negative, yeah, to the build up. And the reason why we don't create high quality chances is because he finds a way to kill them before they happen.
Yeah. And you know what? Yeah, he's very similar to Martinelli in the sense that when he does receive the ball and he starts moving forward, his head is just always down. Like, he either doesn't look up and scan to see what's happening around him, or he does it too late. And because he's done it too late, I feel like maybe he feels like, oh, I've missed my chance. Let me just go for the goal. And it's usually followed up by some awful attempt.
Hey, it's me, Half-Time Hawks, Hokage of the Village. And I've been doing a bit of digging. And 52.5% of you that watch me aren't subscribed to the Village. Yeah? So, how's about you click that subscribe button, help the Village grow, help us hit our targets, and enjoy the wonderful time that we share here together. Hope to see you soon. Peace.
Yo, people, and we're back for another Hawks Corks. And today we're going to be watching Rance's fan cam to Manchester United losing 1-0 to Wolves in the Premier League. Mad thing. So let's see what he has to say. And yeah, I can kind of tell because he's tired. Very tired.
Manchester United 0, Wolves 1, and yo, I'm tired, you know. I'm tired.
Very tired.
I'm disappointed. I'm not even mad. You know what I mean? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start on the positives, bruv. We're gonna start on the positives. Harry Amas today, very good. The one thing about Amarim's system, yeah, is that when you've got certain profiles of players, and to be fair, it's not just his system, I think any system, certain profiles just complement certain positions. I think we've seen him in a 4 at the back in pre-season with Ten Hag and Reed. He was awful in it. I think where he's weak is I don't think he enjoys defending in it. So I think his defensive positioning, his defensive awareness, his situational awareness and stuff like that is not the best in it.
Which would make him very good in an Amarim system because 3 at the back means that there's not so much kind of responsibility on him defensively. You know what? I actually like this take from Rants. I won't lie. I'm kind of the same. When it comes to systems, you need the right profile player. But I'm just saying, when all of us Arsenal man were talking about profile of player and all them things there, yeah, we got told get over the line. So get over the line, United.
Quite naive and quite passive defensively, but technically, he's very good. Good first touch, good short passing, and got a very good delivery. Today, playing in that wing-back system, yeah, and him almost being the overload on that side, he put in some very, very good crosses that I think any half-decent centre-forward would enjoy playing in a team where he's putting the ball into the box. His crossing is some of the best crossing that we've seen from the wide areas in some time. Do you know what I mean? Luke Shaw's crossing, not at that level. Dorgu's crossing is nowhere near that level. I think Dallow's crossing is nowhere near that level. The list goes on. Same with Wan-Bissaka. I think his consistency, his consistent ability to strike the ball well is something I was impressed with today. So it was nice seeing him. It was nice seeing him there. I think that.
By the way, we're praising footballers for playing football at this point. I won't lie. At this point, we're praising footballers for playing football. But I hear it. I hear it. Consistent delivery into the box is very important, especially when you're playing in a wide area. I mean, it is unfortunate that, you know, he's relying on Hodgland, you know, being the one to get onto the end of those crosses, which is always going to be a calamity in the waiting. But I don't know if we can give Amas prop for consistent, good ball delivery, because I feel like I'd be a bit of a hypocrite because I don't really like Tierney too much anymore, you know, and that's something that he excels at. Like, he is one of the best crossers into the box from wide areas. But I just feel like it's something that, you know, footballers should be able to do. And I feel like if they don't do it, it's more of a thing we should criticize that than praise the players that can do it. Because, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, you should be able to do this. Do you know what I mean? It's like, why am I praising a chef for frying an egg? Do you get what I'm saying?
In a 4, I think he struggles for physicality in the Premier League because he lacks the physicality in 1v1 situations to be a top player in that system. But I think in a wing-back system, he looked very good. Same with Fredrickson as well. I thought he made the right decisions on the ball, off the ball. The way he drops in space to receive the ball, I was very impressed with his football intelligence today. Even though he didn't have a lot to do. I'm not going to pretend that Wolves are really good attacking wise or they were really aggressive. I think because they were so passive, I think it allowed us to move the ball in a way that we wouldn't have gotten away with it against like a Newcastle or a Villa or Arsenal, or a team that was a bit more proactive and physical. I think that today's game felt a bit like a pre-season game or a testimonial. The pace of the game was more of a European pace than a Premier League pace, and I think that made us look better on the ball. Kobe was dropping.
Do you know what? Yeah, I like that point as well, because I feel like Arsenal look better on the ball in European football because the pace of the game is much slower. The intensity is so much slower. You're given, lower. The intensity is so much lower. You're given more time to do what you need to do. You're given maybe that extra 1 to 2 seconds to think about your next move, and you're not constantly under mad pressure. And that's something that I feel like if Arsenal was given a bit more in the Premier League, they would do a lot better in the Premier League. But I think the same does apply to a lot of teams. Like, Premier League football is so much about like running, run, like always run, always close down, run, that it's hard for the more technical ballers to shine. But, you know, maybe in a few years' time when, you know, we kind of will be, I don't know, I think we'll kind of be in a position where we're forced to play at a slower pace because there's just so many games, so many injuries, and I can see a lot of teams in the league just saying, you know what, yeah, we're gonna sit back off teams a lot more now just to save players for a longer period of time.
In between the line, getting onto the ball, moving the ball. I thought Eriksen as well. First half specifically, Eriksen, you're seeing some nice little triangles, and people were commenting saying that, oh, we're seeing more patterns of play today. I think it was due to the fact that we had more technical profiles on the pitch instead of,
pace and power, PMP.
No, I wouldn't say instead of, but not including Garnacho and Rasmus Højlund, who are not technical players. But excluding them, I thought that we had some technical profiles. When Kobe's in the 10, he's going to drop in. He's going to give you the ability to receive the ball under pressure, back to play, which is what he did well in the number 10 position. I think he was on a minutes restriction. That's why he came off. He shouldn't have come off, I don't think. Considering the next European game's not for a few weeks, I think the tempo of the game, he could have stayed on longer. Obviously, Ugarte, his ball retention is awful. I think we always play better football when he's not on the pitch. I think a lot of people would agree with me. As much as he gives you a lot off the ball, I think on the ball, it cancels that out, personally. I think we played some of our best football when we missed him in the...
But you know, just on that point, yeah, this is why I think it's very important, yeah, for there to be a balance in the midfield. Because effectively what Rance is saying is, off the ball, fabulous, but what he does on the ball takes away from all of the super positives off the ball. Now, if you was playing with, I don't know, maybe him at the base, yeah, and then you had 2 8s or an 8 or a 10, or maybe he's in a double pivot, but those other two midfielders, whoever they are, excel more on the ball than off the ball, I think you start seeing a better Ugarte. Do you get what I'm saying? I feel like if you look at Arsenal, good example, even though I think that he is getting better on the ball, Declan Rice clearly is not as good as the other midfielders when it comes to being on the ball. Be it as it may, Ødegaard is awful at the moment, but that's a form thing. But what he's able to bring to the team and his strengths is able to shine because around him, he's got players that can do the other things. This is why balance in a football team is one of the most important things on the planet. And we learned that against Real Madrid. They have awful balance.
Build up completely, and we just went through Eriksen. So I don't know, man. It was just one of them games where I thought first half we controlled the ball well. I thought the technical profiles we had on without Dalot and Bruno in the midfield and without Dalot at wing back, I thought we moved the ball better. I think Dorgu looked better on the right hand side again. I think that was more down to the fact that Wolves were quite passive defensively and he had a bit of time on the ball there. If we're playing against a more physical team, I think maybe the team as a whole would have struggled. But I liked the way that we were moving the ball. I liked the intent behind the way we were moving the ball, but just in the final third, not incisive enough. Like both teams were cancelling each other out, and we saw like neither team really had attempts on target. We can't remember either goalkeeper really making any saves in the game. I haven't seen the final stats, but I don't remember the Wolves keeper having to make saves. I don't remember Nana having anything to do today, and we lost. So the game as a whole, I think it was a bit lackluster and it was a bit of a stalemate. But I don't know why we needed to see 70 minutes of Rasmus Højlund. I don't know why Cheeto was on the bench. I don't even know why Cheeto didn't start. Let's put it this way, because Cheeto can't play in Europe. So this is where he should be getting minutes. This is where he should be getting blooded into the team, especially after seeing how the other two youngsters did. Bearing in mind, yeah, they are a bit older than Cheeto, but I think with Xerxes being injured, just play him. There's nothing to lose from playing him. You play him for 20 minutes and he looked bright. But because he can't play in Europe, this is the time. If anything, he should have got the 70 minutes and Rasmus should have got the 20. I don't know how much we need to see Garnacho and Rasmus together to know that it doesn't work. As much as people will praise the manager for playing the two young players today, and they gave a good account of themselves, you have to hold him accountable for persevering with these two scrubs. Like, for every one thing Garnacho does well, he does 5 or 6 things bad. Like, he's a net negative, yeah, to the build-up. And the reason why we don't create high-quality chances is because he finds a way to kill them before they happen.
Yeah. And you know what, yeah, he's very similar to Martinelli in the sense that when he does receive the ball and he starts moving forward, his head is just always down. Like, he either doesn't look up and scan to see what's happening around him, or he does it too late. And because he's done it too late, I feel like maybe he feels like, oh, I've missed my chance. Let me just go for the goal. And it's usually followed up by some awful attempt. So do you know what? I'm someone who, I like effort. I like hard work. I like players that, kind of leave it all on the pitch. But it's getting a bit mad now, Garnacho. I can't lie. I'm even struggling to defend you. Like, you're making it very difficult to make a case. Like, if, like, I don't know, let's just say, for example, you're playing the exact same way that you're playing, but let's just say every 3 games you get a goal. Do you know what I mean? On average, every 3 games you get a goal. Then I'll be like, all right, cool. Maybe you're a bit justified. But because you're playing in a god-awful way, you affect the build-up negatively so much, you can't play passes. Your IQ, football IQ, is absolutely abysmal. Because you're not getting goals, it's like, well, then why are we playing you? And I can't figure that out now. That's something to do with the manager, and United fans need to have conversations with him, and I don't know, maybe get into the presses and ask those questions.
He really does. So it's just, I can't lie, bro. I can't lie. I'm getting really fed up of not only the team selection but the balance of the team. I think. Well, not I think. I know when you're setting up certain teams, yeah, or setting up in certain systems, you have to make sure that the profiles they complement each other.
Yeah.
For instance, yeah, you put on Mason Mount and Garnacho in the same tens, but they have similar strengths. Their strengths are work rate.
Yeah.
Mason Mount is just a more technically sound version of what Garnacho gives you. So we don't need to play both of them. Mason Mount and Kobe Mino would have complemented each other better because Kobe drops into the pockets and does stuff that Mason can't do.
Yeah.
And he gets into areas that Mason Mount don't really want to get into. Having Garnacho and Mount on, it just blunted our attack. It really did.
It's actually horrible.
And then we having Bruno in the midfield there with anyone really. Like it's a weird one because you see when we're talking about profiles. If we've got Bruno in the 10, he's not really an in between the lines kind of player, but he does get the ball into the box. When we have him in the 8, he's not a ball carrier and his progressive passing is not really safe, innit? And in this system, when we had guys playing the safe passes in the first half, we actually looked better. Like, it wasn't expansive, risky, long passing, but it was just short, sharp passes in between the lines. And this is how people started saying, Rants, we're seeing patterns. We're seeing patterns because players are playing the safe passes. They're playing the obvious passes. They're playing the passes that the system naturally opens up for them. Whereas Bruno forces the ball forward.
Yeah.
So naturally, you're going to see more turnovers when Bruno's there. And you're going to see less patterns because he's not playing the obvious passes. And also, he's not a ball carrier. But he's not the only one. We don't have many ball carrying midfielders in the team. This is why I wanted Sanderberg, because he can carry the ball and he can also break the lines with a pass. So between Ugarte, Bruno, Casemiro, who else can play in there? Maybe Toby Collier. How many of these guys, yeah, can pick up the ball and carry the ball in a way that kind of disrupts the opposition? We don't really have anyone to do that.
I think Toby Collier, though, has the potential. Because I remember he played against Arsenal in the preseason, and I remember him carrying the ball pretty well. So obviously he's still young. It's going to have to be coached into him. But I think out of all those names that Rance mentioned, I think Collier is probably the one that would be able to do it the best. Probably because of like youth, kind of lack of fear plays into that as well, and you just want to express yourself. But I definitely think Collier could play that kind of role. But whether Amorim wants someone like Collier to play that role, that's a completely different story. And then on top of that, like, is Collier ready for regular first team football? I don't know. I don't watch Man United like that. Do you know what I mean? So I can't tell you about their youth players. But from what I saw briefly here and there, I think Collier could do it.
So when you take away different types of profiles, you have to add similar profiles. And if you don't, and you start playing profiles that clash with each other, like Mount and Garnacho clash, then what you start to do is you unbalance the team, and then you start to surrender the momentum that we had. And unfortunately, the changes disrupted the momentum, and we looked less comfortable on the ball. Literally within seconds of Dalot coming on, he's losing it now because Dorgu's intensity is gone now. Dalot don't have the intensity of Dorgu, and on the ball, Dalot's not good enough to kind of make up for the lack of intensity. And also, he's right-footed on the right-hand side, so we don't have that threat of the inversion as well. Mm-hmm. It was a disaster. Like, it was a disaster. We looked a lot better with quote-unquote weaker players because the profiles kind of suited each other better. And it's a common theme, yeah, with the manager this season is that a lot of the time when he makes changes, and he makes a lot of changes at once, maybe 2 or 3 players at once, when he does that, we tend to lose something in it. And I think it's not down to necessarily the quality of the players he's introducing, but the profiles clash in it. So I don't know, man. It was just unfortunate because in the grand scheme of things, this result doesn't mean nothing. Everyone's saying, "Oh, it's a free hit." I don't believe a manager that we paid a lot of money for, yeah, and that inherited a squad that was 4 points off top four, yeah, should be allowed free hits. I think every game means something. The
I
fact
agree.
that he's come out and he's categorically said that we're going to be focusing on the Europa League, I respect that, because I believe and I stand by what I said. If he doesn't win that, he should be sacked.
I agree.
Because I think his season and his success purely hinges on whether he can win the Europa League or not. I think.
Do you know what? Yeah, I was. Do you know what? Yeah, do you know why I agree as well? Yeah, and I don't know if France will go on to say this, but like, if you, okay, so you're acknowledging that you've come in and you've not had the impact that you would have liked to have had, and what a lot of people expected you to have. Yeah, I would say quite the opposite. It's been diabolical. Like, it's actually come to the point now where I genuinely believe that if they kept Ten Hag, they would have had a better season. That's what I'm saying, innit? Obviously, they'll say things like style of play and rah, didn't like it, yada, 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 all of that stuff. But I don't really know if you have a style of play. Now, or at least it's not clear to me. And obviously, I don't watch as many games as Man United fans. But from the games I have seen, from what I have seen, yeah, in bits and moments, yeah, you see some patterns of play. But I can't see anything clear or distinct. Do you get what I'm saying? So I didn't like that. All of that, coupled with the fact that you've come out and said you're actively focusing on the Europa League. You've kind of discredited anything that happens in the Prem now. You've kind of said, "Cool, put that to the side. We're focused on the Europa League." If you don't win that now, then that means that you kind of put your neck on the line and failed. Yeah, and there's no European football next season. That's gonna have a mad financial impact for Manchester United as a football club. Like, they're already making cuts. So to add on to that, no European football, losing out on TV money, myth.
I think that's the only reason to keep.
Actually, but then can they sack him? Because if they sack him, they're going to have to pay him out, which I don't think they can afford to do. It's a sticky one. It's a very sticky one. Pause.
This manager is if somehow he wins the Europa League. And I've said it, even if he did win it, I'd sack him anyway, because he's lost nearly half the games that he's taken charge of. I don't think that's acceptable at any football club. If he did that at Wolves, I reckon Wolves would sack him. His win rate is like 26% or something like that.
Crazy.
The 26% win rate at Wolves, I'm pretty sure will get you sacked. So, I don't know, man. It's just one of them things. It's funny because I call out these things and I'm getting abuse. Oh, it's the players. It's the players. These players are better than potentially being 17th at the end of the day if West Ham win. 17th. You think that this squad is a 17th in the league squad?
No way.
Wolves ain't even got a better squad than us, bro. And in certain periods, Wolves looked better on the ball than us. Not long periods, because I thought we were better than them, even with our changes. Even with the two kids we brought in, we looked better than Wolves. So I don't know how we become a 17th in the league team. It's unacceptable, in my opinion. Obviously, people fancy this guy, so they're going to give him... well, they're not going to hold him accountable, and that's completely fine. If these are the standards you want for the football club, that's fine. Miss me with them. I think it was unlucky, the goal we conceded. I thought we had a better team in terms of how we controlled the ball, but there was no real threat. And I don't think that the threat is to do with personnel per se. I think it's more down to do with intent. I don't believe that the way this manager sets up this team is with any intent to hurt the opposition. It's very, very cautious. The reason why we beat Lyon the way we beat Lyon is because we threw caution to the wind, and we decided that we were going to get the ball in dangerous areas and we were going to put pressure on them, and it made them capitulate. United, the way we play, it's almost like we're keeping possession in places where we can't hurt teams, and we're trying to create artificial counter-attacks to kind of spring in transition and hurt teams. We don't pin teams back. Wolves were sitting quite deep, and there wasn't any time where we had our centre-backs on the halfway line and we were sustaining like possession and pressure on them and causing them to make mistakes. We didn't really give them anything to think about, and I think that that's by design. I think that's that's the system. I believe the system is very negative, is very pragmatic, and is very safe, innit? And I didn't believe that that's what we signed up for initially. You know what I mean? I could be wrong. Like, I don't watch the Portuguese league. I think a lot of people pretend to know more about the manager than they actually do. But I'm not going to sit here and say I watched every Sporting game. But considering he said he couldn't play the way at Sporting, he couldn't play the way at Man United he did at Sporting, I expected to be a bit more positive in it. And I don't know, man. It was a bit of a snore fest, bro. It was a bit of snoozeball today. Do you know what I mean? Shout out the youngsters for their cameo today. But other than that, same old shit, guys.
Yeah. Well, obviously, big up Rants, you know. I think the way he talks about football is amazing. So, obviously, big learnings and all of that. But you can clearly tell he's very dejected at the moment, and I can't blame him. Like, I think you'll see a more kind of upbeat Rants when it comes to like the Europa League, because they're fighting for something there, right? But Premier League, like, really and truly, who gives a shit? You know what I mean? Especially the position they're in. Like, what's the highest they can get? Maybe 10th. If they're lucky. Really and truly, what's the difference? You might as well just throw everything at the Europa League or bust, and just keep it stepping. But obviously, people, let me know what you think about Rance's takes on the United game. Let me know what you think on some of my takes on what he said. And obviously, it's been another Hooks Cooks, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.